Welcome back, everybody. A clinical performance from India. They take the much needed 1-0 lead in the first T20 between India and Sri Lanka. We have Salil with us once again. Salil, what's your take on this entire innings?
Oh, it was a clinical bowling performance by Team India. They waited it out. They knew it was not easy to score the 160 runs that they had made. And little lack of experience and maybe some batsmen not getting the big runs as required led Sri Lanka to lose all their 10 wickets within their 20 overs. So, all in all, a great performance by Team India today. And they did what was expected.
We spoke about in the pre-show about how spinners are going to play an important part, and you weighed the Sri Lankan spin attack a bit heavier than the Indian spin attack. But maybe I'm sure with this performance you would have changed the perception about the Indian spinners. What do you have to say about the way the spinners bowled?
Oh, I think the Indian spinners were always a deadly lot. I thought the Sri Lankan spinners needed a boost after their excellent performance in the last couple of one days. So that's the boost that they got. But the Indian spinners, you always have this kind of, the combination that we possess, where Krunal Pandya bowls a certain line, he really strips the batsman for any kind of space, bowls in the power plays. Then you have a Yuzvendra Chahal, who's an excellent leg spinner, and today he's really come back in a big way, and you had the option of Varun Chakravarti, the debutant. So I think the bowling department, as far as the Indian spin department is concerned, it's got a lot of diversity, and there are a lot of good bowlers sitting on the bench as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll just speak about that one spinner you mentioned in a much more detailed manner, and that's Yuzvendra Chahal. It looked like we saw the vintage Chahal back, who, if not taking wickets, will always be into the lower side of the economy rate. This time today, again, giving under 20 runs in his 4 overs, keeping it tight. That one wicket which he got, the bowl which he got, was something like a peach of a delivery, if I can say so. If you can just elaborate on Yuzvendra Chahal and what did he do right today, which was missing for the past few months from him?
Well, I think what he understood today was the game was not about taking wickets, but strapping the batsmen for runs. And they got off to a great start, Sri Lanka, but Yuzvendra Chahal and Krunal Pandya, I think they bowled a brilliant line and restricting them, not giving them, those big overs. And the delivery that he got him out was, I think, the ball of the match. It was an absolute peach of a delivery, and that was one wicket that he really, really deserved. So he showed his seniority by strapping them from the runs so that the other bowlers got it a little easy to bowl to, and Sri Lankan batsmen being slightly inexperienced, they towards the end most of them threw away their wickets.
We've spoken about how good the bowlers have been. Before we move ahead, we'll just have a look at the scorecard here for all the viewers. And Sal, we'd like to have your take also on the scorecard. Very happy to see Bhuvaneshwar Kumar there, Deepak Chair also amongst the wickets. What's your take on the scorecard here?
Well, that's excellent performance. You see, right? They've given just 24 runs, the two quickies, and Yuzvendra Chahal, as usual, has got the other. And so to say, the other bowlers have all got wickets. Even Krunal Pandya and Varun Chakravarti in the end got wickets. So the Indian bowling department had got their plan right. As I mentioned in the pre-match show, I mean, in the mid-inning show, the Indian bowlers are going to defend this, and that's what they did. They just followed their script, and this is what they got, but nothing to take away from what Sri Lanka have batted as well. I think they've done a great job.
Yes, definitely. So, just something to understand, Salil. Do you feel that the wicket got a lot more tougher to bat on in the second innings, or it was a complete case of misapplication from the Sri Lankan batsmen? Where do you think Sri Lanka missed it, or what do you think is the reason for them not being able to chase this target down?
I think Sri Lanka had way too many dot balls to begin with. I mean, these were the runs where Surya Kumar and Dhawan and Sanju Samson were really rotating the strike. They were not looking for those initial boundaries, or they were only hitting the bad balls. India has got better stroke players. That is another thing that also tells you that they have more amount of boundaries than what Sri Lanka had. So all in all, it was not the pitch playing slow, but it was the batsmen and the bowlers put together, the kind of effort that was required on this ground, which has an average of 157 runs in the first innings total. So they stuck to whatever were the conditions. They played their best as far as the batsmen were concerned. Maybe would have been 10 runs short with the kind of wickets that we've given. But the bowlers did a great job. They didn't allow the Sri Lankan batsmen to score much. Obviously, there were those balls where the batsmen are going to go and hit you. Like Chakravarti got hit for a couple of sixes, and I think I didn't think that he would get another over to bowl. but that was quite brave to give him the fourth over there by Shikhar Dhawan, and he got his first wicket, on debut. So, but apart from that, I think they were just strapped for runs, and then they had to just throw the wicket away. It was not easy to hit. It was not easy to hit for the Indian batsmen as well. They too struggled, but they had got those initial runs from the first four batsmen, and that's what made the difference today.
So you spoke about one debutant, which is Varun Chakravarti. There was another debutant from the other team who impressed each and everybody, and that's Charita Asalanka. It's a name which we have been hearing in the one-day series also, but mind you, today was also his T20 debut, and to play that sort of a knock on his T20 debut, Salil, what's your take on this youngster?
I think that's a absolutely good find for Sri Lanka. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. I think all the sixes that he hit were all instinctive. They were clean hits. He really took Varun Chakravarti. I don't think he was in the mood to bowl his fourth over, but he was given the ball. So he spoiled his debut for him, actually. And he played a well fought 44. I think in the end, he tried to do too much and gave away his wicket. But apart from that, I think for Sri Lanka, it's good because there is someone in the middle order who can stay and hit those 30, 40 runs that are required between the 10th and the 15th over, right when, the lower order and the hitters come in and really go for it. So, again, like I said, the Sri Lankan team is really getting built currently. So, they're kind of a work in progress. But every time you see them, they'll play an inch better than what they did before. So, watch out for this team. They may not win this at this point, but later it'll be great.
Yeah, I think before we move ahead, we have a comment from Yash who says the selectors would be scratching their heads as to whom to pick in the T20 World Cup squad. Such bright talent. Absolutely, Yash. I think the Indians keep on producing such players. You don't know. I mean, it's a big country of 1.5 billion people, and from somewhere you keep on unearthing this talent, which you can't just turn your eye up out of. Again, we spoke about Asalanka. We'd like to speak a bit more, Salil, on Varun Chakravarti. You mentioned how good he's been. Bowling 1 over in the power play, then 2 in the middle overs, coming 1 over in the dead, still having an economy under 8 for a spinner. How big an achievement it is for him, Salil?
I think it's a debut match. It won't count as such a big achievement because what we would have envisioned him to not give more than 20 runs. Because Sri Lankan batsmen have never played him before. So he won't really be that much. But yes, I mean, he's come out on the winning side. There are always learning days. And the pressure was obviously showing because the Sri Lankan batsmen are going to go for somebody with the nerves. And that's exactly what Asalanka did. He hit him for 2 big sixes. So I think for Varun Chakravarti, he needs to just maybe come out and bowl whatever he's been bowling. It might be a different day next time. So it's no worries about Varun Chakravarti. He's a good bowler.
Cecil, just a slight observation which I have made, and I would like to know your views also. We as subcontinent players are always known to play spin better. We are known as players who will use their feet a lot more to spin. But something which was quite evident today was the Sri Lankan batsmen were not really using their feet. Rather, they were relying much more on sweeping the ball. Do you think that is somewhere where they missed a trick? Maybe they could have used their feet to score maybe a singles or doubles. Do you think that is something which they can look at going into the next 2 games?
Well, maybe if they would be batting first. When they're batting second, you're looking at a certain score that you need to achieve, within the over. So while you try to hit the first couple of balls for fours or sixes, you would want to rotate the strike. And the best way to do that is to sweep the ball. If you don't understand spin, all you have to do is sit down and sweep the ball wherever it is. And that's how you get your 1 run. So I think that is what they stuck to purely because Varun Chakravarti is not easy to read to begin with. And even Chahal was bowling an excellent line. It was not easy to get through to Krunal Pandya. So obviously you have no other option but to sweep. And most of them have not played such a combination of spin before. So it's always easy not to give away a wicket, by missing the ball rather than you just make sure you sweep it.
That's good to have a different point of view always, Salil. Now coming back, we spoke a lot about the spinners, but the major impact which had to, in the second innings was done by the pacers. Good, happy to see Bhuvneshwar Kumar amongst the wickets, something which we have been wanting for the past few years. Good to see him taking those 4 wickets today.
Oh, absolutely. I think more than us, I think it's he who would be gaining on a lot of confidence. Coming into this team as a vice captain, if you recollect, Karunaratne was the guy who whacked him in the first 1 day. I thought it didn't really start well for him. He was going for runs. But today, with the varying of pace and the kind of bowling that the fast bowlers have done, I think you need to give them a pat on the back. I mean, both of them have bowled an excellent strength, and they've got 6 wickets between them. It's- It was not easy for the Sri Lankan batsmen to get through to them, and with the change of pace, they got a lot of wickets.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the right term at the end, which is change of pace. I think that's something definitely the Indians would have taken watching the Sri Lankans bowl in the first innings. How well do you think Shikhar Dhawan has captained the side in this innings, especially his use of spinners in the power play, keeping somebody like a Deepak Chahar or Bhuvaneshwar till the end and getting them at the death overs where they got all their wickets? Your take on Dhawan's captaincy?
I think I was expecting that he typically did a Dhoni formula where you bowl a couple of overs of your fast bowlers just because the ball is going to swing. They're going to bowl at their easy 130 pace and they will get done with their 2 overs, whatever may be the amount of runs that go from it. And you get your spinners on because you have 3 spinners and they'll possibly if they bowl all their overs, they're going to bowl 12 overs. So you need to bowl at least 4 or 5 overs within the first 10 overs of spinners and that continued. So I think what he did was quite right because towards the death, it's much easier for Bhuvaneshwar and Chair, who've got an excellent change of pace and a lot of other balls in their armory, that it'll be difficult for the Sri Lankan batsmen to play towards the end. So the last 4 overs out of the 5 overs were the quickies, and it worked. So I mean, they've got 6 wickets between them.
Yeah, it did work, and we hope it works ahead as well. Salil, just last thoughts on what do you think can Sri Lanka do from here on? They still have a chance of making a comeback. There are two T20s, not a lot of gap, just a day's break. What do you think Sri Lanka can work upon to get back and sort of make up a comeback for the next two games?
I think the bowling department doesn't need much to change. I think Akila had an off day today. You can expect him to bounce back in the next match. But in the batting department, I think they want to stay on the wicket a little more. I think Avishka Fernando had a great start. Dhananjay De Silva went really cheaply today, but Asalanka and Shanaka they have the capability to deliver the goods. But I think they need to build their innings slowly. So they need to have a combination. It was not Fernando and the other opener just going for it right from the start. It doesn't really work that way. You need to build your innings. So I think that's what they should work on, and they'll be able to reach such scores because you cannot expect a bigger score now. It's all the matches are going to be on the same ground, and the scores would be around the 160s, 170s. So you have to have your change of pace. The ground is a big ground. You need to understand the conditions much better. I think the Indians have adapted to this ground much better than the Sri Lankans, who have their own woes, on and off the field. So you need to give them that. But they should be backing themselves up for a better performance. And if not win it, at least try to get it closer, at least towards 5 runs, within India's score.
That's a great insight, Salil. I think what we could just tell the Sri Lankan batsmen is to just apply themselves in a much better way. I think their top order needs to take the responsibility, something which we saw in the third ODI, the top order being there and ensuring that they get the runs themselves. I hope that they are able to replicate the same sort of performance in the second and the third T20 also. So we as cricket fans get to see much more exciting cricket on the field. Thanks, Salil. It was great time talking to you. Hope to see you
Thank
back
you.
for the next T20 games also. Thanks, guys.
Sure.